Okay, we are definitely in the land of parallel universes, watching the nonstop coverage of President Trump, Kim Jong Un in Singapore. On the right, mostly there's a lot of cheers for this historic meeting between the two leaders to start the nuclear negotiation process. And in the left-leaning precincts of the mainstream media, not just skepticism, but an awful lot of hostility. It's really striking. And I have to sort of play the substitution game and say, if Barack Obama had gone to Singapore to meet with the North Korean leader, a lot of folks on the left would be cheering. And it works the other way as well. I mean, some of the conservatives who think this is just great would be saying, oh my God, Obama meeting with this brutal dictator. He doesn't even get anything in writing about verification. I mean, they'd be going nuts as well. So a lot of this is partisan. Now, look, it is absolutely fair game, legitimate, and even necessary to point out the shortcomings here. I mean, this was a meeting that the president said was a getting to know you session with Kim. He never advertised it as being they were going to have some grand nuclear deal after a 45-minute one-on-one and an expanded bilat, as they call it. And indeed, the statement that was put out was pretty vague, no mention of inspections or verification or deadlines. So it's fair to point that out. The president himself says, look, in a year I may say this was a mistake. It's the beginning of a process. At the same time, I kind of got the clue when I was watching MSNBC the other night while this was unfolding. And after they had that initial handshake where they both walked out, Chris Matthews and Rachel Maddow were sort of upset that the president had put his hand lightly on Kim's back. So I knew he wasn't getting any benefit of the doubt. And then Jeremy Bash, who was an Obama administration official, now an NBC analyst, they have a number of those at NBC and MSNBC, said it was disgusting that the American and North Korean flags were lined up as the backdrop. Well, I mean, that's what you do when you meet with a foreign leader. Now, look, I get it. Also, there's been a lot of criticism, again, mainly from liberals, saying that Kim is, and this is true, a brutal dictator. He's assassinated members of his own family. He imprisons people. He uses starvation as a weapon. That's all true. But I don't remember hearing a lot of that line of criticism when Barack Obama met with Fidel Castro. Also was a brutal dictator, and he, of course, recognized Cuba, or many on the left largely backing the Iran nuclear deal that Trump has now undone. Iran is a very unsavory regime. There are a lot of bad actors in the world. We either engage them smartly in the interest of America or we don't. Now, was the president a little too fulsome in talking about what a great honor it was to meet with Kim and how he's so talented and all that? Yeah, for my taste, he was, but he's trying to get something out of him. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. It is entirely possible, given the history of North Korea breaking agreements going back to the Bush administration, the Clinton administration, that this will all amount to nothing in 6 months. But for the time being, at least they're talking. And some of the same pundits who were denouncing Trump when he was engaged in the nuclear threats with Kim, and I have the bigger nuclear button and Little Rocket Man and all that, now turn around and they don't like that he's talking to Kim Jong Un. That seems to me to be a little bit inconsistent. At least they are talking. They're not going to war. We'll see what happens, as the president said. And when he was asked by George Stephanopoulos, how can you trust this guy? He's a liar. The president said, I have to take what I'm given. In other words, this is the regime, and either you find it or you don't. One thing is true. Past 30 years has it worked. We've gotten nowhere while North Korea has been able to build nuclear weapons. This may not work either, but it does seem to me in the tone of some of the analysis and reporting and commentary in the mainstream media, there are lots of people who don't even want to give this president credit for trying or any whatsoever benefit of the doubt.